What's going on, everybody? Well, Alien Covenant is out. I've seen the movie. I've reviewed the movie. It's out right now if you want to check out that review, as well as the reviews that me and Derbani have done for the rest of this entire Alien franchise, starting with Ridley Scott's original, leading all the way up to this new movie, Alien Covenant. Now it's time to rank the entire franchise. Now, I'll go ahead and warn you, this is going to be a little bit of a controversial list. I can already feel the comment section coming. Some of these movies I appreciate much differently than it seems the majority of people do. But that's what's the beauty about these ranking videos. Everybody's got a different appreciation for these franchises. But also keep in mind, only my top two do I really consider to be great movies. The rest of them are either movies that I do not like at all, or they're in this weird limbo of Netflix watches. Yeah, I'll throw them in if I just want some dumb entertainment. So keep that in mind as well. Now, starting off with number 8, The Abomination, Alien 3. Now, if you've seen our review, or rant rather, of Alien 3, you know that I am not a fan of this movie at all. It really pisses me off the way that they really smack you in the face for enjoying Aliens. They betray everything about that movie, and even whenever they finally get into it, it's just not that interesting of a movie at all. The characters aren't really that interesting. The prison setting's not really that interesting. The few times that they do really start to invest you into a character or into a storyline, they kill it off. It's not really that exciting. It's really dark, really bloody. This was David Fincher, who was a brand new director, and the studio was basically making the movie for him, and he was just kind of like a pawn to put behind the camera and to put his name on the poster. He doesn't want anything to do with this movie ever since, and I don't want anything to do with this movie ever since. I'll probably never watch it again. It took me every bit of strength that I had to rewatch it for this review series, and that's about all the Alien 3 that I ever want to experience. Hate the movie. It got a fuck this movie in my review, and I'm still going to say fuck this movie. That's my number 8, Alien 3. Number 7 is AVP Requiem. Now, when this movie first came out, I enjoyed it on the degree that it was darker and it was bloodier and it was a lot gorier than AVP. It had a lot of really cool gore elements. There were some things with like the nest of chest bursters blowing out of that pregnant woman's stomach. A lot of really wicked things. Now, upon rewatching it, because I haven't seen it since the movie first came out, when I say that this movie is darker, holy shit is it darker. I don't think that they bought a single light to make this movie with, because you can barely see anything. The story is terrible, the characters suck, and even if you get past the fact that it is gorier than AVP, it's just not as exciting, it's not as fun to watch, it's not as interesting, and it's just a boring time at the movies. So I would skip this movie altogether. It's not a movie that I plan on rewatching. I have a 4K TV that is known on the market for having some of the deepest blacks and the best dark scenes ever, and I couldn't tell what the fuck was going on in 90% of this movie, so I highly doubt that anybody else is going to be able to tell what the hell's going on. That's my number 7, AVP Requiem. Number 6, let's start the controversy. Prometheus. Now, Prometheus, when it came out, was interesting because this was Ridley Scott, the pioneer of this franchise, coming back to bring the Alien franchise back on track. We're going to have a huge, epic Alien prequel, and what we got was this really philosophical, scientific exploration of life and creation and philosophy and all this kind of thing, and then maybe 5% Alien. And it just doesn't really work. It feels like two movies that are competing against each other. It feels like the tone and the story is just all over the place. Very well acted, very well shot, beautiful cinematography, great special effects, but the story just doesn't really interest me all that much. The little bit of the unique scientific storyline that he gets in this should be in a separate movie altogether, and I really think that's what he wanted to do, but either the studio made him put aliens in, or he changed his mind last minute and put aliens in, because all of that feels shoehorned, it feels last minute, it feels like an afterthought, and just the whole movie just feels up and down. It's like peaks and valleys throughout the entire runtime. It's enjoyable enough to watch, but it's probably, as far as the ones that I will go and watch, the last one that I'm going to pick, and that's why it's my number 6. Number 5 is Alien Covenant. This is the one that I just got out of yesterday. This is the brand new one, the return to form, the movie that we've all been waiting for, and keep waiting as far as I'm concerned, because the xenomorphs that they promise you is in about a quarter of this movie at best. They're sprinkled throughout here and there. They betray their own lore, their own rules as far as the gestation progress of from facehugger all the way up to the adult xenomorph. They rush past all the xenomorph stuff. When it finally does get to the interesting part of the story about what actually created the xenomorphs, they rush past that, but they force you to spend not only the entire runtime of Prometheus, but the first 30 to 40 minutes of this movie, as well as some spots later on that they keep going back to as far as the Prometheus storyline in this exploration of life and creation and philosophy. But when you finally get to the interesting part, you skate past that. This really bothered me. Great visuals once again, great acting. It is more of what I wanted as far as the terror and the horror and the xenomorph, so that's why it's a little bit higher than Prometheus. I'm definitely going to watch this one more than I will Prometheus, but while I think it's a better movie than Prometheus, it's about 100 times more frustrating. That's why it's my number 5. Number 4, and let's go ahead and set the comment section on fire. Alien Resurrection. Now, I know that the majority of people out there claim that this one is the worst of the franchise by a landslide, and I've never understood that. I completely acknowledge this movie's flaws. I understand that the last act especially is just a complete mess, especially with the human-alien hybrid. I don't like that at all. There's some weird tones here and there, but the entire storyline about bringing Ripley back as a clone who's got alien DNA inside of her and alien powers is really cool, really unique, and it's a new way to bring that character forward as far as Ripley. Otherwise, she's just, wrong place, wrong time once again. They do something new with it. All the surrounding characters like Ron Perlman, like the guy from CSI, all of those characters, Winona Ryder, are really interesting, really fun to be around. It's a fun movie. Like I said in my review, this is the Alien franchise kind of entering B-movie territory. And if you watch it with that mindset, it's a lot of fun. I don't understand how people just... Again, people are entitled to their opinions. I don't understand how everybody just hates on this movie, is saying that it's complete garbage, it's trash, it's unwatchable. I don't understand that at all. The underwater sequence is awesome. The xenomorphs look awesome. The whole thing that they expand the lore on as far as like the animalistic side of the xenomorphs, where like they kill one of them to kind of bleed through the floor and escape. All of those really cool things is just fun to watch. I can enjoy the hell out of this movie when I put it on until the last 15 minutes or so. And to me, it's more enjoyable than the movies that are underneath it. I will go and pick this one first. I will watch it over and over again. Still don't acknowledge it as being a great movie. Like I said, everything except for my top 2 is still a Netflix watch at best. But I enjoy the hell out of this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. That's why it's my number 4. Number 3. Just fractions above my number 4, is Alien vs. Predator. Again, this movie is just a lot of fun. Now, this is a movie that really exists outside of the continuity, outside of the canon, but it delivers on everything that the title said it's going to deliver on. Aliens and Predators fighting each other. You have this great setup with this pyramid that's underground in Antarctica, and it's this battleground that the Predators use to, there's the conveyor belts, and there's all this mechanical things going on where they lift the alien queen out and they make her start breeding eggs, and whatever humans or whatever animals come across this pyramid, the aliens and the facehuggers will breed prey for the predators to fight. There's a lot of great action scenes, the practical effects, and even the CGI effects that they do use on the aliens and the predators is awesome. The human characters, there's a couple of them that are interesting, like Sanna Lathan's character, and I love seeing Lance Henriksen always. Everybody else is kind of forgettable, but they fill their purpose. They come in to be cannon fodder, they come in to breed aliens, and you really go to see predators and aliens. You don't really go to see human characters, but the few that we do get that are major parts of the story do deliver, in my opinion. The third act is really cool when you got Sanna Lathan teaming up with a predator. He makes her these little makeshift armors. Just a really fun movie that's always going to be a fun movie. It delivers on everything that it says it's going to deliver on, like I've already said. I will pop this in as far as my Netflix watch movies, just to throw it on to have something fun on the screen before I will the other ones. I enjoy it a little bit more. I think that it, as a full movie, I think that the consistency as far as the quality of it is the most consistent on the rest of these movies as far as from start to finish. So that's why it's my number 3. I enjoy the hell out of AVP. Number 2. Obviously everybody knows what the number 2 and number 1 is going to be at this point, and this is where everybody kind of gets into their debates. Do I like Alien more? Do I like Aliens more? Do I prefer Ridley Scott's terror and slow building tone and the originality of Alien, or do I prefer the sci-fi action spectacle badassness of Aliens? Totally different movies, totally 2 different masterpieces in their own respective genres, but I gotta pick one. So my number 2 is Alien, the original Ridley Scott masterpiece, the sci-fi horror that started it all, that kicked off this franchise. I absolutely love this movie. And like I said, this is just, number 1 and number 2 are just fractions above each other. I couldn't fit a razor blade between them. And Alien is my number 2 because above all the movies that are underneath it, it's just a genius movie. From the way that they introduce the sci-fi aspect of this ship and this crew with great characters, great actors. The entire creation of the xenomorph is one of the most original and to date probably the coolest and most iconic alien design that's ever been made. The whole just genius concept of the face hugger coming into the chest burster and that great wild scene in the kitchen, go all the way up to the xenomorph. Just the way that they slowly unveil the xenomorph and they slowly build in this movie is something that is just unparalleled as far as sci-fi horror. And this is one of those movies, and I said it in my review, where I wish I could go back to opening night when this movie first hit theaters back in the 70s and experience it with everybody in the 70s for the first time, because people had to have been losing their damn minds when this movie was unfolding. From the face hugger latching on to John Hurt's face, to whenever you feel like everything's going to be okay, and then that, like I said, the iconic scene when the chest burster blows out of his chest and you're like, what the fuck just happened? And then you see the full adult xenomorph swinging in the chains later on. Just so many iconic shots, so many genius things in this movie that it's always going to be on the top of my list as far as sci-fi horror movies. I absolutely love it, but it's still my number 2, and I'm going to get into why here in just a second. Alien, absolute genius masterpiece. That's my number 2. And my number 1 is James Cameron's Aliens. Now, Aliens is number 1 for me because this is the one that I grew up with. This is the one that my dad loved the most, so we always watched it the most. I actually didn't see Ridley Scott's original Alien until I was like 18. Aliens holds such a special place in my heart because it's such a flawless movie. It's got some of the best sci-fi action you're ever going to see. They really do the sequel right. And that's something that James Cameron is just a genius of, because he did the same thing in Terminator 2. You take Alien, you do something close enough to where you're not going to piss off the fans, and you really expand the lore, you expand the franchise, but you do something to make it your complete own original movie, and that's what Aliens is. All of the Marine characters, from Bill Paxton, God rest his soul, all the way up to Michael Biehn, the introduction of Newt as kind of like this surrogate daughter for Ripley. Ripley gets to be a total badass in this one, all the way up to that iconic third act when she takes on the Alien Queen, which is another iconic thing that was brought in this movie, was the Alien Queen. Whenever she's fighting it with that power loader, just iconic stuff. This movie is endlessly watchable. It's flawless. It's awesome action, awesome sci-fi. It's got terrifying sequences, like the sequence when they're stuck in that room with the 2 face huggers. Such awesome stuff that I will never get tired of watching this movie. I will never get tired of recommending it, and I will never get tired of saying that it is my number 1 favorite movie of the Alien franchise. So what do you guys think about my Alien ranking? I'm sure a lot of you are going to disagree with some of the placements, especially Alien Resurrection, but put your own ranking down in the comment section below and tell me why you like those movies. What do you think about the new Alien Covenant? Where does that fall on your list? Get a conversation started, guys, on the Alien franchise down below in the comment section. Like I've already said, if you haven't checked out my review series with Durbania on this entire franchise, check that out. You can check down below to check out some of my social media links like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and my new Patreon page where I have lots of exclusive content for patrons only, like commentaries, and you can choose what movie you want me to review. Lots of cool exclusive stuff, so definitely check that out. Please like and share this video, guys, and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to check out some more of my videos, you can check out a few more by clicking right over here.